All right, y'all, let's budget my July 1st paycheck with me. What's up, y'all? It's your financial best friend, and I'm back teaching you how to be that girl financially. So the first thing that I'm going to put down is what my expected paycheck amount is supposed to be. Now, this amount is going to seem very low, but it's because I have an allotment set up. For those of you guys who are civilians, this would be like setting up your check so that it's broken down into different places. This is what this is essentially. So my paycheck that's not attached to like any bills, any savings account, is going to be $974. And I'm just going to write actual because I know what it's going to be. I already checked. The second thing that I'm going to write here is my allotment. Again, an allotment in military term is just an amount that you have set to the side specifically for a certain account. My allotment goes to my bill paying account, but I like to include it in my budget just so that I can get a full picture of everything that is going on. So I'm going to write a lot. Well, yeah. And that's going to be $2,327. $2,327. I also know I have an extra $400 coming in this month, so I'm just going to write extra. And I'm going to put 400. And I live in military housing and they automatically take my rent out of my paycheck, but I love to include it in my bills because if I don't, people are going to freak out and be like, how do you pay rent? Or they're going to feel like I don't know like how much the cost of living is if I don't include rent on here. It's happened before. So I'm just going to include that on here. Rent, and my rent is going to be $16.99. And that comes out of my paycheck automatically. So next I'm just going to add everything together. So that is $974 plus $2,327 plus, I don't know if I put that, okay, plus $400 plus $1,699 equals. So in total, I have about $5,400 expected to come to my paycheck. Next, I'm going to list all of my bills. These are only going to be the bills that are necessary to my living. So it's not going to be like my credit card bills or subscriptions. It's going to strictly be bills of things that I need to live and survive as a human. So the first thing I'm going to write on here is rent. That is due on the 1st, and the amount is $16.99. And all of my bills I pay on the 1st of the month. They're all on auto pay, but again, remember I told you guys I have this allotment, so I just go ahead and pay it on the 1st of every month and knock them all out. There's like 3 bills that I don't pay on the 1st, but you don't really care about that. So next I'm just gonna go through and fill in all of the bills that I have and the amounts that I need to pay on all of them. So the first thing I need to pay is my car note, and that is $596.90. Next is going to be my car insurance, and that is $219.21. Sorry if you can't read that. Next is going to be my renter's insurance. So I'm going to put renter's insurance. I know it's like $20 and some change, but no matter what, I always go ahead and write how much my bills are. Every time I always go in and I always check them. And the reason for that is because it's a lot easier for me to catch if there's an increase if I'm constantly viewing it every month versus just going in there and not really looking and checking to see how much it is. It's a lot easier for me to catch if there's like, you know, just something off with the amount before it's actually, the payment has already drafted and I'm looking like, what the heck is going on? And then ready, refresh. That's my water thing. That's like $70. So now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to calculate how much all of this adds up to being. So $16.99 plus 5,960 plus 219 plus 20 plus 158 plus 483 plus 150 plus 70, 75. So we have a total of $3,398.92. Right? So remember, this amount includes my rent. So over here, what I'm going to write is the amount of bills that I have total without my rent. Because remember, my rent is automatically taken out my check. So I'm just going to subtract it. So in total, all of my bills equals $1,699.92. This is great because what this tells me is that I am significantly under the amount that I've allocated for my bills monthly in my bill account. So that's good. So that means that I have a little extra money to spend, not even spend, but a little more extra money to apply to debt or to my savings. So this is very good. Next, I'm going to write all my expenses. Now, this is where I'm going to write all of my subscriptions that I have. Netflix, which is $16.88. And that is it for my subscription, shockingly. Now I'm just going to do the same thing that I did up here. I'm just going to add up the cost of all of my monthly subscriptions. So in total, my subscriptions are $92.65, which is great. Love that for me. Next, I'm going to go over here to the debts. This is where I write the amount that I owe or my minimum payments for all of my credit cards. When it comes to your budget, I only want you to budget for the minimum payments first. And let's see how much money you have left after you budget out the minimum payments before we decide how much extra we're going to pay on a card for the month. So the first card is going to be my Ulta card. So my minimum payment due for my Ulta card, it is $37. Now I have two Capital One cards. I just put them together so that I have enough space. The minimum payment is going to be $25 for both, so that's going to be $50 for both. And next I have my Military Star card. The minimum payment on that card is going to be $33.20. And then I have my self-lender account, $45. And then next is going to be my Navy Fed credit card. This is my card that has the biggest amount. So I owe $248.17. And then over here where it says where it is blank, I'm going to write how much I actually owe on each card. I like to keep track of that because that helps me determine how much of an extra payment I'm going to make, basically based on like what makes sense for me. Now personally, I'm a big fan of the snowball method, so I always start with the card that has the lowest balance and work my way up, knowing just off the top of me knowing my cards. I know that more than likely it is going to be my it's going to be my Ulta card, only because I'm really good with my Ulta card of like when I buy something, paying it right away. So the balance on that card usually stays really low. What ends up happening for me is that they end up taking too long to report the balance that I use. So then it takes me a while to actually have to make the payment. But for this one, I'm just going to write for my Capital One. Remember, I told you guys I put the two cards minimum payments together. I'm going to do this based on my Platinum card. So I'm going to write Platinum right here so I know. And that's going to be $218.37. And then for my Ulta card, I owe $155.44. So next I'm just going to calculate all of the minimum payments together. And that total is $413.37. So now I'm just going to calculate all of my, all the information I have so far. So for my bill total, right, in this column, for income, I'm going to write $5,400, sorry. That's going to be my income. For my bills, I'm going to write $3,398.92. For expenses, I'm going to write $92.65. For my debts, I'm going to write $413.37, right? All right, so I'm going to take 5,400. I am going to subtract $3,398.92. I'm going to subtract the $92.65. And then I'm going to subtract the $413.37. And that leaves me in total, I have about $1,495.06. Now, remember, I have not done savings and I have not subtracted the amount of money I'm going to add to my savings account. So strictly based off of these numbers, I'm really actually happy about this. So what I'm going to plan on doing based on how much I have left over to spend, I am actually going to just go ahead and pay off this Ulta card. So I'm going to write Ulta and I put an X, so I know that's an extra payment. And that payment is going to be $155.44. So now when I write that on here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the $92.65, and then I'm going to add the extra payment that I'm going to make so that this number right here is updated. Otherwise, if you don't do it, you're going to mess yourself up. Put a one line through that, $2,448.9. I don't know why I keep reading these numbers backwards. And then I am going to take the $1,495.06. Don't forget, 0.6 cents. Don't forget that 0.695.06. .06. And then I'm going to subtract the extra payment I plan on making, $155.44. That leaves me with $339.62. So again, one line, and then I'm going to write. Now this may seem redundant to you. If you don't want to do it this way, you do not have to. This is just the way I'm going to do it. Now, you guys know I am going to be getting out of the military. So I am going to be extremely, extremely aggressive with building my savings. So strictly based on these numbers. Oh, you guys know what? I forgot something. I knew there was something I was forgetting. So, we have a separate account for our household. Now this is going to be where groceries, stuff for the kids, hygiene products, if we want to do any activities for the kids, it all comes out of one account. So in that account, we put $1,000 in that account every month. And that's split between the both of us and our paycheck. So for the house account, I am going to put $280 in there. So let me write that on here before I forget. House account. So it's going to be 280. Actually, I think it's like 288. 288. So 288. So now I'm going to take $1,339.62 and minus $288 from there. That leaves me with $1,051. So I'm gonna one line it. I know the one lines might drive y'all crazy. This is just my method of doing it. I like to see every step. 62 cents. And so now looking based on this number, I'm going to determine how much money I want to put into savings. So based on this number, I think I can do, I don't really have anything big that I have to pay for that I have planned it out. That I need to plan for. So I'm gonna see how much money I would have left if I save $500. So I would have $551. I'm gonna add another 100. So I am going to choose to save $600 this paycheck. So it's going to be savings, and it's going to be $600. $600 this paycheck, and that's going to leave me with, it's going to leave me with $451.62 of spending money that I can do whatever I want to do with. So that is how I do my budget. I start with all of the income I have, all of my bills that I need to take care of, all of my subscriptions that I need to take care of, and all of my debt. I add this all together. And then I subtract it. If you have groceries and stuff, make sure you include that in there. And then I subtract it all. I see how much I have left, and then I determine how much I'm going to apply to a credit card and how much I am going to apply to my savings account. And that is how I do my first of the month paycheck. So if you have any questions, please leave them down below. It helps give me an idea on exactly what information you guys need help on, or what exactly you need me to break down.